All right, today we're diving deep into the core philosophy of one of the most powerful books on success ever written, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Now, this book came out of a massive 20-year study of over 500 of the world's most successful people, all to answer one huge question: is there a secret formula for success? And that leads us right to the central, kinda unbelievable claim of the whole book. It asks this question: can a single thought, just an idea in your head, actually be turned into cold, hard cash? I know, it sounds a little like magic, right? But Hill argues it's not magic at all, it's a science. And this quote pretty much lays out the entire secret in one sentence. It's not just any old thought that pops into your head. According to Hill, a thought only becomes powerful, only becomes a thing, when you mix it with three key ingredients: having a super clear purpose, being relentlessly persistent, and having a burning, all-consuming desire. Let's see what that looks like in the real world. To see this in action, we've got to talk about the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a guy who, as Hill puts it, literally thought his way into a partnership with the great Thomas Edison. His story is just the perfect example of this whole philosophy. So picture this. The story doesn't start in some fancy boardroom. It starts on a freight train. Barnes shows up in Orange, New Jersey, looking, in Edison's own words, like an ordinary tramp. He is the poster child for someone who has absolutely nothing going for him. I mean, Barnes had zero tangible assets, no money, not even enough for the train fare. He didn't know a single soul, let alone Edison himself. But what he did have was one single, powerful, intangible asset that was worth more than anything else: that definite, burning desire. And notice the wording here. He didn't just want to work for Edison, he was dead set on working with him. And here's where that persistence really kicks in. Barnes doesn't get his partnership on day one. Nope. He takes a low-paying, unimportant job in Edison's office, and he grinds it out for 5 long years. But here's the absolute key. In his own mind, the partnership was already a reality. He was just waiting for the physical world to catch up. And this is so often how big opportunities show up, isn't it? Disguised as a problem nobody wants. Edison had this new invention, but his sales team, they were not impressed. They thought it was impossible to sell. But Barnes, who'd been preparing for this exact moment, he saw his opening. He knew he could sell it. And you know what? He was right. Barnes sold that machine so successfully that Edison gave him a contract to market it all across the country. This partnership went on for more than 30 years. It made Barnes an incredibly rich man, and it even gave birth to this very slogan. He had literally, actually turned a thought into a fortune. So a powerful idea like this doesn't just pop out of nowhere, right? Where did it even come from? Well, it turns out this wasn't just Napoleon Hill's random theory. The whole philosophy has this amazing origin story, and it all started with a challenge from one of the richest men who ever lived. Okay, let's set the scene. It's 1908. A young journalist named Napoleon Hill lands an interview with the legendary industrialist Andrew Carnegie. And during that interview, Carnegie saw something special in Hill, and he threw down a challenge that would end up defining the rest of Hill's entire life. See, Carnegie was convinced that the principles of success could be taught. So he challenged Hill to dedicate the next 2 decades of his life, unpaid, by the way, to studying men like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and John D. Rockefeller to figure out their shared secrets and boil them down into a single, teachable formula. Hill said yes, and the result was Think and Grow Rich. So, what did Hill actually find after all that research? Well, let's break it down. The very first, most critical principle, the absolute starting point for any achievement, is what he called a burning desire. And this is not just a wish or a hope, it's an obsession. To really get why desire and persistence are so important, Hill tells this incredible cautionary story about a gold prospector named R.U. Darby. During the gold rush, Darby and his uncle hit a huge vein of ore. They were ecstatic. They drilled and drilled, but then suddenly the vein just disappeared. They gave up, sold all their equipment for a few $100, and went home defeated. Well, the guy they sold it to, the junk man, he hired an engineer. And the engineer pointed out that because of a fault line, the vein was still there just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped digging. The junk man went on to pull millions out of that mine. Darby learned a lesson he never, ever forgot. You don't stop 3 feet from gold. And the best part is, this isn't just some abstract idea. Hill makes it super practical. He lays out this 6-step method to transform a vague wish into a burning desire. It's all about being specific. Know the exact amount of money you want. Decide exactly what you'll give in return. There's no something for nothing.
You have to set a hard deadline and create a concrete plan, then start right away. And the final steps are so important. Write it all down and then read that statement out loud twice a day. You're literally training your brain to see and feel it as if it's already yours.
So desire is the engine, but you need something to ignite the fuel. And that catalyst, the second principle, is faith. Now, we're not talking about religion here. We're talking about an absolute, unshakable belief in your ability to hit your goal. Hill has this great analogy for it. He calls faith the head chemist of the mind. And here's the kicker. He argues it's a state of mind that you can actually create on purpose. And the way you do it is through autosuggestion, which is just a fancy way of saying you repeatedly feed your subconscious mind positive affirmations until it accepts them as fact. Once that happens, your subconscious goes to work, acting on that belief to turn your desire into a reality.
This really shows you the two roads your mind can go down. By consciously choosing to focus on positive thoughts, on a belief in your own success, you develop what Hill calls a success consciousness. Your mind literally becomes a magnet for the people and circumstances that line up with that belief. But, and this is important, the opposite is also true. If your mind is stuck in fear and doubt, you create a failure consciousness, and you'll attract exactly what you're afraid of.
Want a perfect example of this kind of faith in action? Let's talk about Henry Ford. He had this vision for a V8 engine, but he wanted it cast in a single block. He gave the orders to his engineers, and they came back and told him, flat out, it was impossible to do. Ford's response? It was simple, yet so powerful. Produce it anyway. His engineers tried for a whole year and got nowhere. They went back to him again and said, look, we told you, it's impossible. Ford's command didn't change. Go right ahead. I want it and I'll have it. So they went back to work, and then, almost like magic, the secret was discovered. It was Ford's unwavering faith, his absolute refusal to accept the word impossible, that made it a reality. So when you put all of these pieces together, the burning desire, the unshakable faith, and the persistence to see it through, you arrive at the book's ultimate, most empowering conclusion. See, in the end, the secret isn't some complicated hidden code. It's this profound, simple realization. You are in control. You are the master of your destiny, the captain of your soul, for one simple reason. You have the power to direct your own thoughts. And since thoughts, when you focus them properly, become reality, you hold the key to creating any life you can possibly imagine. Hill absolutely loved these famous lines from the poem Invictus, and it's easy to see why. They just perfectly capture the entire spirit of his philosophy. Your mind is the helm of your ship, and your thoughts are the rudder. You have the power to steer yourself anywhere you choose to go. And all of this brings us to the final and honestly the most important question. This isn't just about the stories of Edison or Carnegie or Ford. This is about you. If your thoughts truly are things, what definite purpose, what burning desire are you going to choose to build your reality around?